Welcome back to Village TV, the story behind small business and entrepreneurs. Today I'm joined by Leo, an independent consultant who thrives in mobile startups and technology and working with NGOs. Leo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Sean.
Great to have you here. You're from Brazil. You've traveled the world working with some big companies. You landed up in Australia. You've had massive successful results working as a consultant, as a strategic business consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're working with startups and entrepreneurs. You've had an amazing journey.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad to have you because I'm so keen to share his story with you. It's an enthralling story, and not only that, he's got some amazing tips to share with you about entrepreneurship, startup community, and how you can be a lot more successful in growing your business. And let's get into a little bit about where you come from and how you got to Sydney, because I find that a little bit exciting. And then we're going to get into some awesome tips he's going to be sharing with us. So come on, share a little bit about your story, because it's quite interesting.
I think the main story is actually that back in Brazil, we believe that Australia is the Brazil that works. So it's pretty much kind of like countries that are similar in size, similar in geography, South Hemisphere, beach culture, and all these kind of things. Yeah. And we have this idea that, it's actually Brazil, but we don't have any violence, we don't have corruption, don't have everything works here.
Drugs are a lot more expensive here.
That's right. Alcohol as well.
Alcohol as well.
So I never actually been here before as a tourist, and I just decided to say, okay, if I'm going to Australia, I'll go full force. And I came straight away. I did an MBA in Melbourne, and straight after the MBA, joined the consulting firm. So I've been here for 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah.
Amazing. And what have you been doing for the 5 years that you've been here?
So after the MBA Melbourne Business School, 1 year, and then I went straight to A.T. Kearney, a big top-tier strategy consulting firm, working several projects in mining, oil and gas, fashion, banking, telecommunications, logistics.
And now he runs a photography company, a bikini line, and many other interesting startups. And you've been working with mobile technology and with NGOs recently.
Yeah, so mobile technology, actually I just signed a contract before coming here, so I'm joining a company called Alive, which is pretty much focused on enterprise mobile solutions to customer. NGO, I've done a few work with several different NGOs, so work lately with the Foundation for Young Australians. We're doing a market assessment to expand some of their products across to Asia, so which was pretty exciting as well.
So let's go with that he knows a lot of stuff, okay, about this space. And that's why I've actually brought him in here, because I'm really keen to get Leo's perspective on the startup community and give us some tips. So Leo, let's talk about, you've been working with the startup community for a while in Australia.
That's right.
You have a very in-depth knowledge about business consulting, strategic consultation. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing the Australian entrepreneur or startup community?
Can I give just one?
Yes, one's good.
I think the main one is actually funding. I feel that in the beginning, most of the startups actually don't have much money. They want to get cash. It's really, really hard to actually go and get cash from external funding source, like venture capitalists, friends, everyone go look and say, well, are you sure? Is that just an idea? Is that actually going to be able to generate any money? Normally people ask a lot from the startup, so can you give me kind of like this 200-page business plan and kind of like a big team and etc. And you just try to actually make your idea work.
Yeah.
Also, kind of like normally when you start to bring people tend to ask you something back in return. So they say, okay, I'll give you $10 and you give 90% of your company. They say, whoa, for $10 they cannot do anything. But also like from an investment perspective, if you actually change your head and say, okay, I'm not the entrepreneur anymore, I'm more the investor now. Is really kind of like people looking at the startup and say, well, this guy doesn't have much experience, business experience. They're passionate about the idea, but they have no idea how to deliver that. Yeah. They have no team. And normally when they come to talk to me, there's no structure, just kind of like mumbling about their business without actually a proper kind of like idea, plan, how they're going to make money, all these things. If I may, I'll give an example about Del Mar, the bikini business that you just mentioned. So the person that actually was heading the whole business, pretty smart, very intelligent, But she came to me and said, "Oh, I have this amazing market idea. I'll bring ambassadors, and they're gonna wear my bikinis, and they're gonna show all across Australia. It's gonna be very successful." I said, "Well, that sounds really good. So how much is gonna cost?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna invest maybe $20, $30, $40,000." And I said, "Well, but your margin in the bikini is kind of like maybe $30, $40 per bikini. So how many bikinis do you need to sell to actually pay that off?" And that's something that she hasn't thought much about it before. So she has a very good idea, but without kind of like the fundamentals behind the idea. So I think what I came, the solution then was that, well, there are a lot of very beautiful girls in Australia. Why don't you just go approach them, ask them to wear the bikini? So instead of like paying $2,000, just kind of like use them as your ambassadors.
Nice.
And that's something that actually worked pretty well for her as well.
Great. So look, you've been working with a few startups and entrepreneurs here in Australia and businesses. What kind of advice or what kind of work have you been doing using your consultation knowledge or strategic knowledge to help and empower these startups? I mean, that's one example. What other things have you been bringing to the table?
I think from my perspective, actually, I don't know how many people actually had work with consulting before, but consulting is actually very fast-paced. In 4 years, I worked for, I think, in 15 to 20 different projects.
Wow.
And that was in mining, oil and gas, fashion, telecommunications, all the things that I mentioned before, and in different functions as well. So I've done business planning, cost reduction, organization transformation, market access, and to be honest, I had no idea how to do that. And I think the key thing then was to actually bring a structure, and day one, pretty much kind of like sit around, say, okay, how can I actually address that problem? And what are the potential solutions to the problem, even without actually knowing anything about the business. And by day two, you're already kind of like meeting the CEO, the CFO, and presenting some of the ideas you have, and they normally get really impressed with that.
Okay.
And I think my main kind of like support that I've been doing to consulting to startup on the startup space is bring a little bit about that structure from the consulting space, and pretty much kind of like the structure and the experience, and then working with the startup, which kind of like normally engage, motivate, and passionate about the business, and kind of like doing that together to help them come up with creative solutions to the problems.
I think that's a really good, because when you start a startup, you've got all these ideas, you've got passion, you've got this like what you want to achieve, what you want to do, and you don't really think about the numbers, the how, the plan, the strategy. You know, how are we going to do this over a long period of time? What do we need? What do we need to take off to achieve these things?
That's right. And I think also like money sometimes make people lazy, because with the money you can pretty much solve everything.
Every problem, yeah.
And then the fact that you don't have money, it's a great opportunity for you to actually think different ways to approach your business. And actually, normally, from my experience, I see that in the end they become much more robust businesses as well.
So by being innovative, you don't have to rely on money. You can actually be innovative and do things without money, and you might get better results.
That's right.
Yeah, I see too many businesses throw money at a problem rather than actually look at it deeply and try to think of alternative ways to solve it or the deeper problem.
That's absolutely right.
Amazing. Now, you're also part of the School of Social Entrepreneurs. Now, that's at in Ultimo, if I'm correct?
No, that's actually based on Sydney Hub.
It's in Sydney Hub? Okay, so they moved. Okay, cool. What happens at the School of Entrepreneurs?
So the School of Social Entrepreneurs is an amazing initiative. It's almost kind of like an MBA for social entrepreneurs. But the way they do it is actually much more interesting, because they don't take anyone as part of the program. The first thing is they have two programs. One is called the Incubator, and the other one is the Accelerator. And the Incubator program is pretty much has tasked to bring an idea from an idea to an actual business.
Yeah.
And the Accelerator is that for those that actually already have a business, they're already kind of like generating some sort of revenue, but they're struggling to go to the next step.
Okay.
So I help that little thing to become something bigger. And my role as part of the School of Social Entrepreneurs is pretty much kind of like giving mentorship to the people, to some of the students, right? Okay. So it's bringing my experience as a consultant and help them kind of like make that project work.
Awesome. I think that's such a cool thing. And, you know, if you have a business and you have a startup, would you suggest you get a mentor? Would you suggest to startups out there, entrepreneurs, get mentors, get that advice and lean on them?
I think the more you talk to people, the more you collaborate is better. And I think mentor is always a very good idea. So mentor is something that's pretty typical in the consulting world.
Okay.
So the day you join a consulting firm, you have a mentor assigned to you,
Okay.
and that's a person that's actually help you to go through, deal with the difficulties that you have and problems, and give ideas, bring that perspective, and I think it's really, really helpful in a startup as well.
Yeah, because you will face challenges as a startup. Startups probably face more challenges than most people because it's so volatile and it changes so quickly. And I think having a mentor who's been through those experiences, who knows what to expect, who understands those changes, is keeps them motivated and keeps you stable.
But also is someone with a completely different perspective, looking to the problems you have. Because sometimes when you start like dealing too much with a problem, you get immersed in that and you don't see something that's just next to it.
Okay.
And the mentor will actually be the person that actually will point to that directions as well.
Nice. So let's get into the final stage here. What is your advice to entrepreneurs looking to grow their startups? You share a lot of advice. What is the key elements that you often share with the startups?
I would say three things. I think the first one, I think is pretty obvious, is about exploring the passion and don't compromise. I think people pretty quick, when they start like engaging too much, they forget that why they're doing that business, and they get immersed in the whole business thing. So in the end of the day, it's the same thing as working in a corporation or something else.
Yep.
So stick to your passion. The second thing is that don't be too greedy about funding money. So start small and kind of like use the revenues you start to generate to explore concepts and kind of like start growing from there before you go in and ask for money somewhere else.
Good advice. Get traction first.
Yeah.
Prove that your system works. And you probably get more funding or better funding than if you just did it
Exactly. So normally when you go to a venture capitalist, for instance, they ask, okay, you're already generating revenue.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, is really important for you to test the idea and see if that works. And I think the last one I just mentioned before is get structure, collaborate. So I think the village space is amazing because you have so many people there, and then talk to the people next to you and see who is there, and then maybe they actually have an idea different. They can help you in the business, and you have no idea if you don't actually talk to people, and engage with like-minded people as well.
And I guess it's putting yourself in a space, whatever co-working space, whether the village or more than the many other co-working spaces around Australia and worldwide, is that you're sharing minds, sharing time with other people, just listening to other people's stories. You will learn and be able to pick things from other people and apply it to your business. I think that's what I love about Village TV, is that sharing stories, sharing ideas, and not all of it will apply to you, but there'll be a few things here and there that you can go, I can do that small thing and have a big result somewhere.
That's right.
And change your attitude to the way you're going about it.
And I think today there are so many opportunities, there are so many tools and so many spaces that you have to actually talk to people and kind of like understand what they do and kind of like start to think, well, that's actually a good connection to my idea, and then that makes sense. So just go out there and talk to people instead of like just being behind your computer. And I think it's really important still, the personal element on any business.
That's what makes entrepreneurs and small business so cool. It's that personal element, that uniqueness about that person. So Leo, if someone wants to get in contact with you because they're encapsulated or excited about you, as what I've become learning about you, where should they go and how can they find you?
So for the moment, mobile phone works. Can I give my number or
Yes,
maybe email?
If you're a hot bikini, no. No, I'm joking. It's please, by all means, and you can connect on LinkedIn as well, I'm sure.
LinkedIn, I'm there, Leandro Gama. So Leandro is pretty hard. So Leandro, Gama. And email is lgama74@gmail.com. And mobile number 0404-206-673.
Absolutely. So make sure you contact Leo. I'm sure we'll have his LinkedIn link in the description below, and I'm sure you can connect with him. He's a really fun guy to hang around with, and I'm sure if you're a startup, you'd want to connect with him. Thank you so much for being on Village TV. Leo. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story. I find it really interesting, and what you've done and where you've traveled to. I'm sure you have a lot of knowledge to share with entrepreneurs and startups out there. So that's another edition of Village TV. It's been awesome having you. Make sure you subscribe, because if you subscribe, you've got more chance of meeting people like Leo and other amazing people out there, and you'll surely be more richer for the experience. So thank you for joining us. Subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye for now.
Thank you.